Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good to be coming to the end of this whole good nonsense. And welcome to the madness that is the Charlie Marx Show. I'm Charlie Marx, and I often wonder, there are many hate crimes out there which get reported on, but why do we never hear about the love crimes? Surely there are lots and lots of lovely love crimes out there, especially with the youth of today taking on the mantle of the 1970s hippie movement. Let's find all the love crimes and start bringing them to the forefront of the news. If you're enjoying the Charlie Marx Show, or even if you're not, then please like, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications and follow the Charlie Marx Show. Also, please share, as sharing is daring. You can also leave me a comment or tell me what's bugging you in the world with the Devil's Advocate. I can also be spied upon by you visiting www.charliemarx.co.uk, or you can even buy me a coffee. Coming up on tonight's show, we have all the usual psychotic behaviour plus some other stuff. But before all the insanity which is the Charlie Marx Show, it's time for more nautical tales from Popeye.
Aye, fellow sailors, and welcome to another nautical yarn from me, Popeye. Tonight's tale might be familiar to you, but I don't think you've heard the full background to it. It is said that Jesus went to a party and the host hadn't been to the deli, and panic set in. How was the host going to feed his guests? Many thought that it was the host's own fault for inviting 5,000 people to the party, but that's another debate. Well, Jesus, being the no problem, I'll sort it out kind of bloke, said he'd take care of the issue. He asked the host what he had, and the host said that he only had some stale bread and a fish. Jesus then fed the 5,000 people with that loaf and that fish. Well, not quite. You see, Jesus always wanted to be the big guy, the rock star, the hero of any given situation. So here's what he did. He asked one of his followers, a fisherman, to go down to the water and go out on his boat to fish. Jesus then asked another of his followers, Simon, who happened to own his own construction company, to dig a tunnel from the beach to the host's house, and funnel the fish from the boat to the party. Now you can say that Jesus was a bit of a con man to pretend to conjure up fish. Or you could say that he was an inspiration for David Blaine and Dynamo.
And that's quite enough of that. Now it's time to catch up with all the latest fake news from around the world and beyond with CM News. Good evening, and welcome to CM News with me, Taylor Swift. Our top story this evening. The son of the Queen was up in court today and may face time in prison. The story unfolded when the maid for the Queen sent a text to a local newspaper. It all transpired when the Queen of Hearts had made some tarts on a summer's day. The Knave of Hearts, her son, stole the tarts, taking them clean away. There will not be a jury for this trial, as the Knave has already entered a plea of guilty. President Orange of Trumpton has announced that he wants to buy the world. The president aims to turn one half of it into a golf course, the second half into casinos, while the last half will be a resort. A lawyer for God said that his client was not willing to discuss selling the planet Earth with the president, but did say, however, that he would consider negotiations selling the planet of Mars to Elon Musk, with the proviso that Musk move there permanently. Human beings are evolving at an alarming rate, according to scientists. By the time the next generation of teenagers come along, they will not have any legs, and their posteriors will be the shape of a couch. Now some sad news. Beloved thespian Bungle the Bear from the hit show Rainbow has sadly passed away at the age of 96. Bungle was a trained classical actor and had been a staple of the theatre stage, where he played such classic roles as a fur coat in the West End production of Agatha Christie play The Mousetrap, and a rug in the foyer of Mirkwood Theatre. Bungle smoked 40 Rothmans a day and ended up in a care home where he passed away in his sleep. Attending his funeral was Zippy, George and Geoffrey, and the eulogy was beautifully performed by Rod, Jane and Freddie. And that was the latest headlines. This is Taylor Swift for CM News. Good night. Thank you, Taylor. More from the CM Newsroom next time. Recently, I was at a car boot sale, and the crowd of in the crowd of amblers, I noticed someone I thought I recognised. The trouble was that he seemed to be in a place I couldn't quite put him. So it was like seeing a teacher out of the classroom when you're younger and you can't believe that they actually exist out of the classroom. Anyway, it turned out to be one of my very, very good friends, Peter. And although we hadn't seen each other in what seemed a lifetime, it was so wonderful to see him. Then, as I turned around, I saw his wife, another wonderful friend, Tricia. Seeing them brought back so many happy memories, and I realised just how much I'd missed them. We did everything together, Christmases, birthdays, holidays, and Peter and I were even in a band together. I used to love it when Peter and Tricia would come to the house, as I recalled the laughs we all had. It's terribly sad when we move apart from the people we care about, and as the days drift by and become weeks, and the weeks go into months and then years, later you think to yourself that perhaps it's too late to pick up the phone or send a message. What I realised that day I saw Peter and Tricia was that maybe it's never too late. It's such a short lifespan, perhaps even up to the last minute there is still time. What I'm trying to say is you never know if it's going to be okay to rekindle old friendships until you do it. And I'm so glad I spoke to Peter and Tricia for many, many reasons, especially as Peter still owes me a beer. Now it's time to roll back the classics and check out Album of the Week. Hello and welcome to Album of the Review, which is a weekly review of a week in a review of albums for reviewing. Anyway, here is one that I've picked up. I think you will like it. It's by The Ungrateful Dead, and the album is called Greatest Hits and Killings. It's a very, very good album. It's a concept album, which means there's an underlying story behind it. I don't actually know what the story's about because it's ramblings really of these guys. Now the band are quite a large band, as you can see. I'll hold this a wee bit closer so that you can see it. You've got on ukulele, Harold Shipman. He plays some excellent ukulele. You've got Dennis Nielsen on drums. He really hits them hard. Eileen Wuornos is the lead singer and she can be quite aggressive at times in her singing, but you just wouldn't say anything about it. On bass guitar, we have Charles Manson, which was excellent, you know. And then there's Peter Sutcliffe, who plays keyboards. And what is this fella's name again? Can't remember his name now. That's terrible. I should do, because, you know, I chose it. Anywho, the band are what you'd call Scottish primeval punk, you know. So they do dip in and out of a few different genres, although it's a concept album. I did pick up some of the words in it. Like I say, a lot of it's rantings. The word murder is used quite a lot. Die, pig die. That was another one. And you know, all sorts of ramblings like that. But there is a couple of ballads on there which are particularly nice. I didn't mean to kill her, but she was there. You know, I'll get the doctor's waiting list down. You know, I mean, so I think that one was penned by Shipman. You know, he's quite a ballady folk person. So yeah, so that The Ungrateful Dead, Greatest Hits and Killings, was their last album, really. Actually, it was the first album and their last album, because they were all put to death. So, you know, it's a shame, because they probably could have come out with some new stuff. I know that, you know, Dennis Nilsson was looking to come out with a solo album, and he was working on a few projects, but it didn't quite come to fruition. But anyway, give it a wee listen to. I think you'll quite enjoy it. It's if you can follow the story, you're there. So that was that one. Now, one of my favourite albums of all time is Boris the Johnson at the Wurlitzer organ. I love this album. Boris at his best, really is. He, you know, he plays that Wurlitzer like you wouldn't believe, you know. So, yeah, an absolute classic of an album. Screwing the Country Blues is just a beautiful song. Pandemic Party gets a bit faster. Bang It in the Microwave, Gas Mark IV, is a clever song, and it asks so many questions, you know, about how things are done. Like, should we really have a microwave that is operated by gas? You know, classics like that is phenomenal. Then side 2, we have Like a Half-Stoned Cowboy, which is not the greatest song on here, to be fair. It doesn't really go anywhere. In fact, it's just silent, and during the silence you just hear mumblings. Private Educated Dancer is a lovely song, and it's more a historical, you know, thing of where he talks about his life as being, you know, going to a private school, and, you know, all the fun he had with his chums, and how they bullied other people, and it was lovely. And finally, one of my favourite songs, The Kids Are All Mine, which is a kind of, I would say, 80s LA influenced kind of your Poison, Motley Crue kind of, you know, Hey We're Singing About Chicks kind of song. So yeah, that's a good dance song if you ever come across it. Yeah. So Boris Johnson at the Wurlitzer. This is $39.99, brand new, second hand. It's 85 pence. So it's really up to you whether you want one that's maybe got a wee scratch on it, or you're looking at one that's maybe brand new but has been thrown into the racks by the people who are employed at the record store. So entirely up to yourself. But yeah, definitely my favourite album so far, Boris Johnson at the Wurlitzer organ. Phenomenal. It gets at least 4.5 stars. Anyway, back to the studio. And we'll be hearing more about classic albums next time. But now it's time for another roundup of moans and groans and things that go irk in the night with The Devil's Advocate. So, what's been getting right up my nose and playing my nasal hairs like a bass guitar this week? Cyclists. That's right, and I know this is going to be highly controversial, but cyclists, especially those who ride bikes, are the bane of my life. My friend Peter that I mentioned before drove a bus when he worked, and I'm almost positive that he would agree with me in this. Cyclists were all over the place with their expensive skinny bikes and equally skinny rear ends. So the powers that be, yes, those idiots in charge, decided that too many of them were being injured on the roads because of these big bad cars. So they were given their own lane. The motorist had to give up part of his or her road to give it to the cyclist. But will they stay in their bicycle lane? No. They want the whole road. And what's worse is that when there are few of them cycling together, side by side, they're chatting between themselves about cycling issues and the latest trends in spandex. And whilst they're doing this, we, the motorist, is queued up for miles behind, screaming, shouting and saying words you wouldn't want your mother to hear. These cyclists, I think the collective term for cyclists is a pain of cyclists. Anyway, these cyclists couldn't care less if you are held up for years. They just continue to cycle and chat. Then there are those who pretend to follow the highway code. These morons pickle my onions. They ride on the road, and when they get to the red traffic light, they just carry on through. They want to be seen as a proper road user, but only when it suits. I know cycling has become very popular, especially for those who eat their greens and watch Doctor Who. But come on, there are so many of them now that the car has become the minority. Soon we will have to convert from car driving to cycling and adopt their ways. Believe me, it's coming. Thank you for watching The Charlie Marx Show, and remember to like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, share and follow me on www.charliemarx.co.uk. You can also buy me a coffee, that's right, a coffee, or join the channel for more and so much more. So until next time, if you're not subscribed to The Charlie Marx Show, just get on your bike.